Every once in a while, my father would take us there. To a little kid from the Midlands of Ireland, the beach was a real treat. Years later, it was not the case. The opening scenes of Saving Private Ryan were filmed on the same beach. I almost walked out of the movie. The first 10 to 15 minutes were overwhelming. The depictions of slaughter on Omaha Beach were too real. The sensations jarred your soul. The dramatic portrayal of those days in June of 1944 reminded me of the price that decent, gifted, scared warriors paid to restore peace and freedom to a continent imprisoned by the demonic forces and ideology of the Third Reich. The beaches of Normandy are sacred. So too the beaches of North Africa, of Gela in Sicily, of Anzio and Nettuno in Italy, Guadalcanal, Okinawa, Iwo Jima, and many others scattered throughout the Pacific. Military cemeteries are also sacred. They're the final resting places of heroism, of gallantry, patriotism, devotion to duty. And just to name a few, Arlington, Virginia, Colville-sur-Mer in Normandy, Cambridge in England, Nettuno and Florence in Italy, the Punch Bowl in Hawaii, the USS Arizona in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and Boulder City, Nevada. A visit to any of these will move you to tears. The gospel passage just proclaimed reminds us that there's no greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And while we understand the reference to the ultimate sacrifice of Jesus on our behalf, the phrase is familiar to all who have worn the uniform of the United States. We serve that others might live. Too few, sadly, understand the real meaning of Memorial Day. It is not a holiday. It's a day of remembrance. We should not wish each other happy Memorial Day. There's nothing happy about men and women dying in the service of their country. If you want to know the real meaning of Memorial Day, then go visit the National Cemetery in Arlington, Virginia. Remember the fallen for the good that they did while they were with us. Please don't tell me about the bargains at the mall or the car sales this weekend. Instead, tell me about John Washington, George Fox, Clark Poling, Alexander Good, Vincent Capodanno, Emil Capon, Fernando Ribas, Paul Lawrence. Well, who are these people? The first four were the four chaplains on the USS Dorchester. Father John Washington was born in Newark, New Jersey, and on the night of 3 February 1943, he was one of the four chaplains on the Dorchester who gave their life jackets to soldiers scrambling to escape the sinking ship after it was torpedoed just west of Greenland. Father Vincent Capodanno, a servant of God, a Maryknoll priest and a Navy chaplain, killed on the 4th of September in 1967 in Vietnam. Wounded several times that day, he refused to abandon his Marines. He ran to take care of a wounded corpsman, and he was gunned down protecting his Marine. Awarded the Medal of Honor on the 7th of January 1969, and his name is inscribed on the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C., on panel 25E, line 95. Father Emil Capon, a servant of God, a priest of the Diocese of Wichita, Kansas, an army chaplain serving in Korea. On the 1st and 2nd of November in 1959, his platoon was overrun at Unsan. The Chinese rushed across the border. He was captured with his troops and interned in a notorious prison camp on the banks of the Yalu River. Known as the Good Thief, he wandered through the camp at night, stealing food for his troops. And one night he came home with a sack of potatoes. To this day, nobody knows how he did it. He fell ill and he was moved by the North Koreans to a prison hospital where he died on the 23rd of May in 1951. He was awarded the Medal of Honor on the 11th of April, 2013 by President Obama. And his remains were recently discovered in the Punch Bowl on Oahu in Hawaii. Burial arrangements for Father Capon are pending in the Diocese of Wichita. Fernando Ribas was a member of our parish council at RAF Lakenheath in the United Kingdom. I was in my office that afternoon pushing paperwork around the desk. Little knock on the door. "Padre, would you hear my confession?" I said, "Fernando, certainly, but just I need to finish this. If you'll step across there to the Blessed Sacrament, I'll be right with you." So a few minutes later, I joined Fernando in the Blessed Sacrament room and heard his confession. And then I noticed that his flight suit was sanitized. No rank, no badges, nothing. And I suspected something was up. And I said, "Fernando, would you like to receive communion?" "Yes, Father, I really would." And I gave him communion. Later that afternoon, he stepped in his jet, and he did not come home. At 6 o'clock the following morning, I was knocking on the door of his wife's home. I'm glad I stayed throughout the showing of Saving Private Ryan. I shed a few tears at the conclusion of the movie. I think most of us do. The soundtrack, Ode to the Fallen, composed by John Williams, is a haunting melody. It stays with you. You can't get rid of it. It's a constant reminder of the savagery of war and the price we pay to preserve freedom throughout the world. And so this evening, let us give thanks for the courage and bravery of so many warriors who made the ultimate sacrifice on our behalf. But let us also remember their families who lost a husband, a father, a brother, a sister, an aunt or an uncle, and who even today struggle to adjust to that loss. Their pain is not forgotten.